everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be doing the what makes me pick up a book tag. Normally with tag videos I like pre-prepare my answers, but I haven't done that at all for this one, so this will be interesting. The creator of this tag is Charlotte at Wonderfully Bookish, and their YouTube channel will be linked down in the description below. So there's 8 questions in this tag. I'm freezing cold. I don't have a jacket on right now, so hopefully that encourages me to not ramble on and on. Hopefully this will be a quickish video. The first question is, do you judge a book by its cover? I know you're not supposed to, but I definitely do. Like, I can't help it. Whenever I see a nice cover, I pick it up and I'm like, I'm guessing this one's gonna be good. And whenever I see an ugly cover, I'm like, I'm guessing you are not gonna be so good. I know it's not the best habit because I'm probably missing out on some really good books just because it has an ugly cover. However, it's just what my brain unconsciously, subconsciously does. Number 2, focusing just on the cover, what attracts you to pick it up? I'm not really sure what attracts me to pick it up. I know that I'm less likely to pick up a book if it has a person's face on it. So for example, like people's faces, I'm not a huge fan of that on books. I just don't like it. I don't vibe with it. Partly because if I picture a character differently than what the character is presented, like the person is presented on the cover of the book, then it like really takes away from the story for me and frustrates me. And also because, like, I don't know, I keep my book on my nightstand. I have this weird thing where, like, I feel sometimes like eyes are following me. And, like, I feel like if there's a face on the cover of a book, it feels like the eyes are following me when my book is just, like, laying there. I don't know if that makes any sense. I won't 100% always avoid a book if it has a face on the cover, but I'm less inclined to pick it up. Maybe a good way to approach this question is to pull out some books with covers that I like and address what I like about them. So I really like this cover. I love pastel and aesthetic covers, so covers that are very pleasing to the eye, very satisfying to look at. I like covers like this one that are sort of like eerie and a little creepy, but not like horror creepy, like dystopian apocalyptic type covers that look like this one. I'm a huge fan of anyone with like galaxies and stars on it. I love that. I love like a purple book too. Purple books are just so pretty. So I guess I have a very specific taste I like in covers, but I won't not pick up a book just because it has a bad cover. Okay, number 3, next up. Do you read the synopsis first or prefer to go in without knowing anything about the book? I don't necessarily read the synopsis when I'm buying books. However, I read the synopsis right before I start reading the book so that I have a general gist of what I'm reading, because sometimes, especially with these fantasies that I'm reading that are like very high fantasy, very complex, sometimes it helps to have like a general understanding of what the story is going to be about before I start reading it. I have like way too many books. Like these are all double stacked back there, and there's like a stack right here that I haven't even sorted onto my shelf yet. And so I'm trying to read synopsis more so that I'm trying to force myself to be more selective about buying books because I have way too many, but I don't always read the synopsis first. Like sometimes I don't even read the synopsis at all. Question number 4 is, do you have any auto-buy authors whose books you will always buy even without knowing anything about them? Yeah, I do. So my auto-buy authors currently are Kristen Simmons, Ben Alderson, Nicola Yoon, and Felicia Day. And I have 2 authors that I've recently added to my auto-buy author list. However, like I've only read 1 book by them so far, so if their second books that I read by them disappoint me, then maybe they might be taken off that list, and that is Alison Cochran and Alekia Dow. Question number 5, are you more likely to pick up a book if it includes specific elements / themes, examples, LGBTQ+, mental health rep, disability rep, etc.? Yeah, so if it has diversity in any form, so disability, LGBTQ+, if it's focusing on a character who is not white, and so for example like Latino, Black, all these different cultures, because for me personally, like, I feel like my shelf is still very much filled with white authors, and most of the books on my shelf feature white characters as the main character, and I'm really aiming to diversify what I read and diversify what's on my shelf. One thing too is I like to see myself in books. So I am asexual. I really add every book that has a sexual rep in it onto my TBR because I want to read books where I can feel seen. I add a lot of chronic illness rep books whenever I see them onto my TBR because I want to feel seen with my chronic illness. One thing too is also like straight romances sometimes follow the same formula and they get boring, and so I'm like looking for romances that are different, and a lot of LGBTQ romances hit that mark. Like, it's okay if the romance is between a male and a female, but if it's like bisexual characters, male and female, like it just makes it more interesting because there's just more to the story than just the traditional formula that you can find like dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of times in straight romances. I generally though don't pick up a ton of mental health rep books because they can be way too triggering for me just because I've struggled with mental health. I've lost people to mental health struggles, and I just find that mental health books can sometimes be way too triggering. So while I do pick up disability rep, mental health rep is not always included when I say I pick up disability rep books. Question number 6, do you ever read a book that has generally negative reviews just to form your own opinion of it? Yes, I do. I don't really look at reviews when I pick up books anymore. Like, I might check reviews for trigger warnings, but generally I don't go like, oh, this person that I like gave this book 1 star, I'm not gonna read it. Like, I'm not like that. I used to be like that, but I'm not like that anymore. I give every book a fair chance. I mean, if a book has like a ton of negative reviews because the author is problematic, then I'll take that book off of my TBR, but I'm not gonna avoid a book if it just has negative reviews. So like, I have a no thanks shelf on Goodreads. In case anyone ever happens to look at my Goodreads shelves, I have only like 4 shelves, 5, I don't know, not that many shelves. But if you go onto my no thanks shelf, I have a bunch of books on here that are by authors who I just don't want to give my money to because they've done bad things. So like the book Leaving Isn't the Hardest Thing, I had to add that to my no thanks shelf as a book that I'm not going to read because the author attacked reviewers online for leaving reviews that are not 100% positive, and so that's like an example of why I wouldn't read a book by an author. But yeah, negative reviews, I'll still give the book a chance. Negative reviews exposing that the author is problematic, as long as I don't have that book on my shelves, then I'm taking that one off my TBR. I'm rambling so much, but it has to be within reason too when I say problematic. Like, I feel like problematic is sometimes used a little too loosely, but like doing something harmful like attacking reviewers, being transphobic, those type of things are things that make me be like, oh, I'm not gonna read anymore by that author. I mean, there's always exceptions. I am obsessed with Harry Potter, I read every Harry Potter book, so like that's an exception, but I've made it clear with my posts online that I don't support the author of that series. Anyways, I'm being too negative and I'm rambling too much about that, so let's move on to question number 7. Do you ever buy a book just because another booktuber or book blogger has reviewed it or talked about it a lot? Yes. You know what? Let me show you a couple. I have some over here on my shelf. The booktuber Sasha Alsberg talked about Ruby Red a lot, and so I bought Ruby Red. It was also really cheap because it was at this new bookstore that I found that has really cheap books, and so I got this one because I saw Sasha Alsberg talk about it a lot. I mean, she talked about it in the past because she hasn't been uploading videos as much recently, but she gave this one really high reviews, so I'm really interested in this one. I can't pinpoint a specific booktuber or booktalker or book blogger for this, but like tons of them always are talking about this one, so of course I want to get this one. This one also has asexual representation, I believe, but just it felt like every book blogger was talking about this one, so I got this one because everyone was like raving about how much they loved it. And then the booktuber Keely Jo McKinney, who I'm a huge fan of, she always talks about Morgan Matson a lot, and so I got Save the Date because it was really cheap, and it's by Morgan Matson. I don't really know anything about any of these 3 books I just talked about, but because they're so like well recommended by book bloggers and booktubers that I enjoy, I got all 3 of them. I also got them all used, so I try and buy used books if I'm not like 100% sure that I'm gonna love the book. And the final question is number 8. Is there anyone whose book recommendations you will generally always trust? Yeah, so Keely Jo McKinney is the only person who I will trust every single one of her book recommendations. I mean, she doesn't give me like specifically book recommendations, but like watching her YouTube videos, seeing what she posts on Bookstagram and stuff, like 97% of the books that she's enjoyed that I've read, I've also enjoyed. Every once in a while there will be a book that I enjoyed that she didn't enjoy, but like generally if she enjoys a book, I know I'll enjoy the book, so I trust every single one of her recommendations. Anyways, that's all for today's video. I hope all of you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. I upload videos twice a week, so my next video will be uploaded this Friday. I hope all of you stick around to watch my Friday video, and until next time, goodbye!